So today I'm just going to review the article Doublecortin Immunolabeling in Canine Gliomas with Distinct Degrees of Tumor Infiltration. This paper is out of the Journal of Veterinary Diagnostic Investigation from 2023. It is not open source, so I'll just go through the abstract and then just give you some of my takeaways from the article. So going through the abstract, increased doublecortin immunolabeling at the tumor margins has been associated with tumor infiltration in human glioma and canine anaplasmic meningioma. No association between doublecortin immunolabeling and glioma infiltration has been reported in dogs. Here it's compared the doublecortin immunolabeling in 14 diffusely infiltrating gliomas, known as gliomatosis cerebri, and 14 nodular gliomas with distinct degrees of tumor infiltration. Cytoplasmic doublecortin immunolabeling was classified according to intensity, so it was weak, moderate, strong, distribution, which was given different grades, and location within the neoplasia, whether it was random or at tumor margins. Immunolabeling was detected in 6 of 14, or 43%, diffusely infiltrating gliomas, and 8 of 14, or 57%, of the nodular gliomas. Diffusely infiltrating gliomas had moderate to random immunolabeling with distribution scores of 1 in 4 cases and 2 in 2 cases. Nodular gliomas had strong or moderate immunolabeling with distribution scores of 1 in 3 cases, 2 in 3 cases, and 3 in 2 cases, and random in 6 cases or marginal in 3 cases. Increased doublecortin immunolabeling within neoplastic cells palisading around necrosis occurred in 4 nodular gliomas. Therefore, doublecortin immunolabeling was not increased at the margins of diffusely infiltrating gliomas, indicating that doublecortin should not be used as an immunomarker for glioma infiltration in dogs. So that's the abstract. Just to go through some of the background information. So here they state that gliomas are the most commonly diagnosed primary intraparenchymal CNS neoplasias of dogs. And that is true as far as it being intraparenchymal, but meningioma is typically thought to be the most common CNS neoplasia in dogs. Although most gliomas are thought to be more of a mass-type lesion, there is a subset which is more diffusely infiltrative and doesn't cause much distortion. Although grossly, the gliomas seem to be different as far as the ones that are more of a mass versus the infiltrative. The immunohistochemistry is very similar between the mass versus the infiltrative. Thus, it's thought that the infiltrative is just a different growth pattern of canine glioma rather than a separate entity, which is why currently the term gliomatosis cerebri is not used when classifying gliomas. Doublecortin is a microtubule-associated protein that plays an essential role in neuroblast migration in cerebrocortical development during embryologic life. Thus, doublecortin immunohistochemistry has been utilized to detect neuronal progenitor cells and neuronal differentiation in human, canine, and feline gliomas. In addition, doublecortin immunolabeling has been advocated as an indicator of tumor infiltration, which is supported by the increased doublecortin expression and immunolabeling at the margins of invasive human CNS tumors. A similar pattern has been found with doublecortin immunolabeling in meningiomas in dogs and cats. So that's just kind of the background of the paper, to where they're looking to see if doublecortin could play a role in gliomas being more infiltrative versus more mass-like. Therefore, the thought being, and what they hypothesize, is that doublecortin immunolabeling should be more intense at the margins of invasive gliomas. As stated in the abstract, there were 28 tumors included, 14 being infiltrative gliomas and 14 being nodular gliomas. For a tumor to be grouped in the infiltrative glioma, the tumor had to infiltrate into at least 2 cerebral lobes. All tumors were subjected to the immunohistochemistry staining for oligodendrocyte transcription factor 2, or OLIG2, and then gliofibrillary acidic protein, or GFAP, for diagnostic confirmation. And then, of course, they all had the Doublecortin immunolabeling as well. All gliomas were diagnosed and graded if they were included in the study, and that diagnosis was aided by immunohistochemistry. Diffusely infiltrating gliomas consisted of low-grade astrocytoma in 4 of the 14, and high-grade astrocytoma in 4 of the 14. And then for 3 of them, they were high-grade undefined gliomas. 2 were low-grade oligodendrogliomas, and 1 was a high-grade oligodendroglioma. For the nodular gliomas, 7 consisted of high-grade oligodendroglioma, 2 were low-grade oligodendroglioma, 2 were low-grade astrocytomas, and 2 were high-grade astrocytomas, and 1 was a high-grade undifferentiated glioma. So astrocytomas seem to be more common in the infiltrative form, but there was oligodendrogliomas and astrocytomas in both the infiltrative and the nodular forms. Cytoplasmic doublecortin immunolabeling was observed in 6 of the 14 diffusely infiltrative gliomas, as previously stated. Thus, given that only half of these patients had doublecortin immunolabeling, they concluded that doublecortin was not involved with the infiltrative nature of gliomas in this group of dogs. The discussion goes through this in more detail, but I won't go too much into the details just for avoiding copyright infringement. They do state in the conclusions that the doublecortin immunolabeling was observed in about 50% of the gliomas in the subset, regardless of tumor type, grade, infiltrative nature, and this is similar to previous reports that have been investigated. The doublecortin immunolabeling seemed to be random, with no increased staining at the tumor margins, which refutes their hypothesis, or they cannot rule out the null hypothesis. That said, given the doublecortin immunolabeling, they do show that neoplastic glial cells in canine gliomas can undergo neuronal differentiation, given the immunohistochemistry staining that was present in about half of these dogs. Something that was found in the study that hasn't been previously reported is that the doublecortin immunolabeling within the neoplastic cells occurred in areas near necrosis in 4 of the gliomas. This could be artifact, but given the location and the way that the staining occurred, it seemed like the immunohistochemistry staining of the doublecortin was a real finding. Overall, I thought the study was well done. The figures provided are very good images, like usual for most of the images provided by pathologists in these reports. And the Journal of Veterinary Diagnostic Investigation does a good job with making sure the images are of good quality. So for those listening that are available to download the article, the figures are definitely worth looking at. I don't have much to add from this study. I think it does a good job highlighting that there's still so much that we don't understand about canine gliomas or just neoplasia in general. But it's always good to see that we're moving in a direction to where we're continuing to expand our knowledge, and hopefully it gives further insight into future therapies. That's all I have. Thank you for listening.